Why, hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is I, the Corporal, bringing you a review on the great Joe Kidd. Yes. Been, as you all know, my book series is a Western and all that. And it's like, but why is it so colorful for a Western? Well, you see, in the Wild West, certain things were going on in the world. Okay? We had the Ottoman Empire. We had samurai. We had the Victorian era, so all the steampunk nonsense. We had the Industrial Revolution with Nikola Tesla and Thomas Edison. And we had freaking. Did I already say samurai? Oh, we had the Boer Wars were going on as well. We had the imperialism of India and all that. We had all this stuff, this just cool parts of history, okay? Like just iconic things and all that going on during the Wild West. Well, at the same time. And when my book series is like, what if I combine that? What if I make the main character the Nikola Tesla of this world? And what if I like have his buddy be some? We also had the Tsar of Russia and all that, and have his buddy be some Russian guy and everything, and then have it like old school like Russian, like my brother, my comrade, Tavarish, let's go, and all that. Hey, Ruski, what are you doing here? Or I'm just here to check up on you. Oh, okay. I'm perfectly fine, Ruski. You could go. We just like make steampunk Darth Vader and all that. Just and have some animal people. And I'm about to start writing book 3. I just gotta finish some references for book 2, which I keep neglecting. I hate doing that, but that's the thing that I always neglect. It's just the darn references. But anyway, so I needed to do that for book 2. And in book 3, there's a subplot based off the movie Unforgiven. Where in Unforgiven, a woman of ill repute gets attacked and gets cut up in the face. And they hire, essentially, the other women of ill repute want revenge because justice is not being served. So they hire bounty hunters, put a bounty on these guys. And the part of it is that there's like when people talk about what happened, they embellish it, okay? They over exaggerate what actually happened. And it becomes this whole like snowballing effect. Now you got bounty hunters coming to this town thinking that they're hunting for demon incarnates. Just freaking like the Ed Gein of the Wild West. And I was thinking, okay, I had this idea. There are 3 furries. And I call them furries because they're based off furries, but they are races within the world. I don't like calling my races furries, but these are based off 3 furries I had an interaction with. And I will put real life people I interact with in my books as random cannon fodder villains. You may call me petty for that, but I don't like them. I don't like them at all. Okay? And when I don't like you, it means you did something really bad. To some of you, it's like, oh, it's no big deal. To me, you have insulted a woman's honor. You have insulted my religion. You have spread propaganda upon me, and you have taken me for a joke. In person, these are fighting words to me. Understand that? Do not lie to me. Do not be a hypocrite in front of me. I do not like these things. If dueling was a thing, I would be dueling everybody every single day. Okay? But if I like you, then you must be a freaking saint. And all that. Or you're just not annoying. It's just like it's like sometimes I think I'm like Hannibal Lecter minus the whole eating people. And I just like, you annoy me. I don't like you. You always remember he got like a violinist because of that. He just annoyed him. I gotta rewatch Silence of the Lambs. That's a good movie. But anyway, so did I say buy my book? Buy it. But yeah, and because I love these different time periods, and they all happened at the same time. I think Sherlock Holmes was going on at the same time. The race around the world was going on at the same time. Was it Judge Okoda going on? The Ghost of the Taquito Inn? Was that the same time period? I think that might have been earlier. And all that. The other time period I like that's never like talked about is like the whole Musketeers and Zorro. That's a good time period as well. But anyway, so the idea was with these three furries again with the whole it was Unforgiven, and I even put it on Twitter like, guys, I need acts of pure evil because I want the rumors to. The idea is that these guys did a crime, but everybody over embellishes it because of misinformation. So there you go. So everybody thinks like these guys have done everything. And I even asked people, I need acts of just the purest form of evil. And too many people went edgy with it. I didn't like that. So then I was like, okay, I'm just going to list the crimes off in various westerns that I like and just give it to them. So they're the bad guys in every single western. Oh. So I'm like, okay, so now I got to rewatch all these westerns, which is pretty good research. And so I'm just going to give you guys a bunch of reviews on the various westerns. If you see the Yu-Gi-Oh cards, I did this video right after another. Sometimes I just do videos after another. And I realized that a lot of the crimes in westerns are just that joke from Blazing Saddles where Hatley's giving the interviews for the villains. You get the one guy, he says the R word, murder, arson, the R word again. And all right, if you're a kid watching this, shame on you, shame on your parents. And Hadley's like, you said it twice. And he's like, well, I really like the R word. I was just like, I don't know, that movie's so funny. He's like, he gets pissed off at the guy with chewing the gum. Okay. One day, if you're a kid watching this, again, shame on your parents. But one day, you and your parents you're gonna ask your parents to watch Blazing Saddles, and if your dad has an inch of a funny bone on him, he's gonna just hug you. He's like, "Oh, I love you, son." Oh, you're. So, this movie is rated PG, but I think that's like before PG-13. Also, I don't like the cover for this. He looks like he's going, eh. Like this would have been a good cover. So, but I think this is PG-13 actually, because there is, I don't think there's much cursing in this one, but I think there's more like they don't blatantly state it, but there's a woman in this movie that is a woman of ill repute, and they mention this all the time. Okay, I'm trying to be censored about this. I could use mean words, or more accurately, more accurate words, but I could use these words. But I don't think they like literally just like every dude. Okay, so probably should have left a warning at the beginning of this video. It's too late. But anyway. So I don't think there's any cursing in this. I don't remember at the top of my head. But I do remember, like, this movie is like, oh, it's the legendary Joe Kidd. Like, it's one of those good westerns. Because that's what I hear whenever it's mentioned. And I know that behind the scenes of this movie that this was supposed to be the American remake of The Great Silence. Another great western. I do not own it on DVD, but I've seen it. There's two endings to the movie. The original ending, the European version, is the original. Okay? So, that's the one that you should watch. And it has the world's greatest actor in it, Klaus Kinski. Okay? If you do not know who Klaus Kinski is, that guy is like a freaking cartoon character. Okay? He's lived like the craziest life ever. And it's just him being just a freaking dick in German. Just really like he's like Klaus Heisler from freaking American Dad, incarnate. But anyway, so Joe Kidd is essentially the town. What's the word? The town jerk. Okay, he's in jail and all that. He doesn't want to pay the fine to get out of jail, which is like what, $10. He'd rather stay a week in jail and beats up a Mexican guy. Well, it turns out The Mexican guy is part of like a Pancho Villa type of group. Oh yeah, I didn't mention like the reason why it's not a remake of Great Silence, but has a gun from Great Silence, is because Clint Eastwood couldn't get any backers for it, so he just made Joe Kidd because he had all the props. But anyway, so back to the main thing, and so these revolutionary guys are wanted, and Joe kills one of them, and they don't like him. They steal his horses, and he decides to team up with the rich guy, who, because this movie takes place in what? Ooh. Robert Duvall is the land baron. What, I forgot what year this movie takes place in, but it's like all the new machine pistols are a thing. So you get the Mauser C96, you get several bolt action rifles, just things that Joe is not accustomed to, like just brand new guns, and these guys are like freaking manhunters and all that stuff. Which is what I call the bounty hunters in my book. I'd call them not manhunters, I call them headhunters. Yeah, that's gonna be like, that's actually one of my favorite aspects of my book series. Like, you'd rather turn yourself into jail than be hunted. Okay? All they need is the head. But anyway. And so he and these guys go out and hunt down these revolutionaries. And it becomes this whole thing like, okay, are the revolutionaries really the bad guys? Or is the robber baron the bad guy? Like, it's not a spaghetti western and all that, but it has like the inclinations of it. So it's like, who is really the bad guy here? And all that, because it's obvious that they stole Joe Kidd's horses. But when you start like getting towards like, the halfway mark, you start to see like, okay, this guy, this land baron might not be what he seems to be. And there is kind of like a shift in like, okay, who's Joe Kidd working for now? And all that. It's really interesting. Because this movie did, I hate using this phrase, subvert my expectations. Because I thought it was going to be just Kidd and these guys hunting down these Mexicans. And it didn't end up like that at all. And there was a scene at the end of the movie, I'm not going to spoil it. But I was surprised by this completely. And I just, it felt very weird to me. But again, I want you guys to watch these movies. I'm not going to go into full spoilers because you got to watch a Western. Okay. Me telling you what happens is like, no, I can't do that. But something happens at the end of the movie, and I'm like, I was like, what? What? Really? This is your plan? And it worked? And it felt like it was like the cheapest prop too. Like, okay, this is an actual thing and all that, but it looked like something from Disneyland to me. And again, through the movie, I'm kind of like, I get the robber baron the land baron is a kind of a jerk. But I could kind of sympathize with him against the revolutionaries because if you know your history, it's like, Mexican revolutionaries weren't the nicest dudes, okay? And again, there's kind of like implications that this woman is like, I don't know, there's something about, well, this whole arrangement that they have. But yeah. So, is Joe Kidd I might actually make like a little chart to review these movies, but is Joe Kidd the legendary movie that people say it is? And I want to... Oh, another thing. There's this bad goon named Mingo. Mingo. I always like that. It's just like, Mingo. Yeah, it's Mingo. He became my favorite character. He doesn't do much in the movie. It's just like Mingo. Kill him. But no. Is this movie the legendary movie that people claim it to be? Compared to The Great Silence, no. Is it entertaining? Well, there's a lull in the middle. Something happens that's kind of like, reminds me of The Magnificent Seven. And it's like, that part, even though I remember like everything from this movie, I remember like disliking the lull. I was just keeping like, when does he get the Mauser? He doesn't start off with the Mauser. That's what bothers me. Like but when does he get the Mauser? And when he finally gets it, it's like, okay, that's when the movie kind of picks up. But it's not like that's another thing. It's like, oh yes, the Mauser C96, and that really wasn't his gun for a while. He just uses it for like one whole sequence. And so I want to say Joe Kidd is like a 6 out of 10. It very much is like just generic Western, but it has just this cool concept. Like these bad guys have these turn of the century guns going up against just the old school banditos and all that. So, and I was like, okay, I like it. It's just an old school, it feels like an old school Western, like very down to bones, like things he would see with John Wayne and all that. But just this cool idea, like, oh yeah, we got the bolt actions, we got the machine pistols, we're gonna go get us these bandits. That was cool. I love that idea, and I want to use it. That's why I give my characters like these World War I guns in the book, because it's like, because it existed at the time. The freaking Maxim machine gun existed in the Civil War, guys, okay? Well, we had the Gatling gun as well, but just like, imagine a lizard, like, this is going to happen in one of my books, too. Well, in one of my books, there's a crab person, okay? So you see, there are crab people. Later on, you're going to see a crab person named El Camarón, and he's a freaking wields a Maxim machine gun, okay? So, that stuff. I love history, and I love that aspect. Like, I want to see this movie really inspired that aspect. Like, gotta put World War I weapons in the freaking Western, okay? So, anyway. Thank you all very much. I hope you have a nice day. Bye-bye. Watch it.